Welcome to the Aha Moments radio show for the inspiration, education, and celebration of enlightened living worldwide with your host, Mariana Cooper, founder of Aha Moments International and AhaMomentsWorld.com. Tune in for the next hour and learn to trust your aha moments to lead the way to live a passionate and purposeful life. And now here's your host, Mari.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Aha Moments radio show for the inspiration, education, and celebration of enlightened living worldwide. I'm Mari, and happy Tuesday, happy holidays. I know Hanukkah, I believe, is finished up, and we're moving into the Christmas craziness, and today's show is going to be all about how to deal with family members when we're in holiday situations and we don't want to be confrontational, but things get kind of dicey. I know that when I go home for the holidays, everybody kind of has a role, right? When we're out in our regular lives and in our adult lives, we have our way of being, and then when we go back home, isn't it funny how quickly we get demoted to, the way things were when we were 5? So today's show, as I was, thinking about what we would be talking about, I had about 5 different conversations between clients and friends and stuff about family dynamics during the holiday season, and I said, that is something that we should definitely talk about on the show because over the years, I have collected energetic ways of handling family situations where I don't have to say a word, so I can come out of certain gatherings without being all scuffed up and without having ever let on that I was aggravated in the first place, because a lot of it I can handle energetically. Now, obviously there's going to be times when you're going to stick up for yourself and stand up to somebody. We always have that relative who's a perfectionist, and then we've got the one who monopolizes those conversations, or who puts us down, or when are you going to get married, or all these different types of things. And then we also have the the society's picture of what things should look like during the holidays. And I think out of any potential scenarios of society's version of what appropriate is, like society, we always have this, well, if you're going to get married, the guy should be 2 years older than you, and he should be taller than you, and he should make the same amount of money, more money than you, and he should, be of the same race as you are, and the same religion, and there's just, the quote, right way to do something and the wrong way to do something, and he shouldn't have any baggage, and you shouldn't have any baggage, and you should never have blended families and all this, and it's society's idea, their standard of how things should be, right? And then who lives up to that, really, at the end of the day? And even when people do, a lot of times those are the marriages that go down first. So the holidays are another one of those things where we have this vision, and I don't care what religion you are when it comes to, there's a standard that people expect, and everybody's trying to strive for this point of perfection where, your money should all of a sudden swell at the end of the year so you can buy everybody all the best presents, and, everybody should want to pitch in when it comes to the family meals, and everybody should come for the family meals, and everybody who has never gotten along should get along, and, we should have a white Christmas, and it should snow, and there's so many expectations, right? So we're set up to fail before we even get started, because even if we don't have those expectations ourselves, when somebody says, how was your holiday? Was everything wonderful? And, there's a lot of people who can't say everything was wonderful for the holiday. And it makes people cringe, right? So, like I said, today I wanted to share with you a few of the things that I use when it comes to various scenarios that can come up during holiday gatherings, and so we're going to get to that in a second. And I will be taking some questions if people have a question for me tonight. So the number to call in is 347-215-9485. That's 347-215-9485. 9485. And as usual, Sam will get on the call and get you in the queue so that when we get to questions, I will know who you are, where you're calling from, and be able to get to them quickly. All right, so two announcements, too. One is I have opened 5 spots in my mentorship program. There's some people graduate this fall from the program. So I have 5 new spots, and this mentorship program is going to be a shortened version. It's 6 weeks. It's one-on-one with me, and it's going to be really focused on those who have an idea of wanting to get their work out to the world. So if you want to write a book, you want to have your own radio show, you want to start a blog, you want to start your own business, sort of content-based business, you have some ideas you want to flesh out or expand, maybe you need help with something that you're already doing. I've opened up a 6-week mentorship program to be the first 6 weeks of the new year, and I sent an email about it yesterday, so make sure to check your inbox on that because this is something I don't normally do. But it's going to be really focused towards that enlightened entrepreneur or wantrepreneur, somebody who wants to be an entrepreneur, who wants to get started or get some ideas. A lot of times people have ideas and that they're doing sort of as a hobby. They want to know, how do I turn this into a business? And I know when I was working with clients over the last few weeks, so many people had all the heartfelt, desires in the world to help people, and, they have all these ideas. But then they're either not making money from them or don't know how, or feel like kind of trapped in their jobs and all that. And they just need what they're really missing. They think, I need to get more certifications in my energy work or whatever. Usually it has nothing. You really kind of don't. You need help with marketing and with creating a business that actually can feed you. So we're going to do. It's called Quantum Leap for 2016, and it's just to help folks to get moving, to get the structure that they need to move forward. So if you'd like to get more information about that, you can either send me an email at support@ahamomentsinc.com or check your inbox because there's an email in there with all the information. All right, so that's that, and I think that's just for announcements for right now. So we are going to get into our content for tonight. So, when you're preparing to go into a family situation, like for instance, I actually have not been home to my family since I moved from New Jersey, 16, 18 months ago now, and was anticipating going home for the Christmas holiday. And it's funny because just because you leave someplace for a long period of time doesn't mean, like when I started thinking about it, I was like, there's a part of me that's very excited, and there's a part of me that kind of was dreading it too. And I was saying, I was saying to a friend of mine this morning, you know what, it's kind of weird. I've been away for so long, and everybody's really dying for me to get home, and vice versa. But I start to see, there's a little piece of me that's a little worried about going back too. And what I realized is that you can take yourself out of the situation geographically. Energy stops where it stops. It stops where it left off. And sure, there's stuff my family and I have worked through, with me going away and all that kind of stuff. But there's also dynamics that happen at every holiday that aren't going to go away just because I'm 3,000 miles away and I'm going to fly 3,000 miles back to come back, right? So, I started to think about how can I manage this energetically before I get there so that we can have a smooth time, a fun time. And even if I can't control the behaviors of other people, which you never can, I can set the situation up for the best potential result possible. And this is where you take, instead of going into a family situation as a victim, you want to go into your family situation feeling a sense of power, feeling a sense of peace, and feeling a sense of detachment. I call it divine detachment. A lot of times we talk about detachment when it comes to romantic relationships where you feel like you're gripped on, holding on to somebody or somebody's behavior or somebody's approval of you, and you can't shake it, you get that kind of obsessive feeling about somebody. Well, that detachment also applies to family situations, any situation with another person where you don't have control over other people's behavior. Okay, and so the first thing you want to do when you're preparing to, deal with the holidays or any other, gathering is to set the energy for yourself. Set your intention for yourself. And you can do that with your journal, just writing about it. Even like writing the family dynamics down in your journal, saying, okay, with Mom, these are the usual things that would set me off. With Dad, this, sister 1, sister 2, brother 1, brother 2, uncles, aunts, whoever, in-laws, brother-in-laws, sister-in-laws, these type of things. You want your kids, perhaps, a lot of people have that one kid they haven't been talking to, whatever. So, sibling rivalry, she's going to pay more attention to Joey because he's an attorney and I'm a musician and she's not going to pay any attention to me, this kind of thing. You might want to do an inventory of family matters. So you can kind of get down on paper what you're really dealing with. A lot of times that will give you permission. That will give you permission to sort of forgive yourself before you even get started. Say, you know what? It's a lot of dynamics to be handling all over one turkey, or one ham or whatever, or a lasagna. It's a lot to cut, to handle all at one time. But if you have it on paper, then you can prioritize what are the things that are going to set me off the most, that traditionally set me off the most, or the person. And then what are the things that, I can say, all right, that's a battle I'm just not going to fight at this Christmas dinner, And that alone, what you're doing is you're taking pressure off and kind of assigning yourself, okay, these are the things that I know, okay, this is where I'm going to have to do my shielding or my wielding with this person. This other stuff, whatever. I'm not going to, it's just not going to register with me this time. So that's step number one. Then the second thing that you can do is what we call, and a lot of you have heard of this, but you can do this before and you can do this after any kind of family gathering, is cutting cords. So you can cut the cords by, like everybody has an energetic or emotional cord connected to them from, obviously these things are invisible, from their loved ones. And so especially if you have a big charged relationship with someone, whether it's a joyful, happy charge or a, some adversarial type of situation, you have cords going back and forth between the two of you. So you can cut all negative cords. You'll never cut the cords of love, but you can cut the negative cords. You can ask Archangel Michael to cut the negative cords and to remove them at the root. So a lot of people cut cords, they don't realize they can remove them right at the root, so where it enters into your energy field, so that you have, you really get down to the bottom of it. And so you can take the emotional charge. When you cut those cords before you even go, because remember, the minute the person starts anticipating that same dinner and the potential confrontation they'll have with you, they're courting you. Because you're thinking of that person in a negative way, and vice versa. You're courting them, they're courting you. So you're already charged before you walk in the door. And so if you cut those cords before you get there, you'll be pleasantly surprised to see that what you expected that might be much more volatile has already been tamed, because you're not allowing your energy to be sort of invaded going in the door. Okay? So you can cut the cords before. You can also cut the cords after any interaction. And you can even go into the bathroom. If something gets really starts going down, you can even go into the bathroom or into a quiet place and just excuse yourself and just close your eyes and ask for all your cords to be cut. And what it will do, it may not stop the argument in its tracks, but what it will do is stop the effect it has on you and your well-being. And you'll see that, you can just say, I think I'm going to have another piece of cheesecake. I'm done with this. And, whatever, Johnny, you can, you need to have the floor, have at it. Knock yourself out. And not feel so violated and, crazed about it, or like you have to get your point across and you have to, come out on top, or everybody has to see you the way you hope that they'll see you. You can do that, like I said, after the gathering is over, which is very important. And usually when you're dealing with other people, especially family members, relatives, and the like, the types of people that might be at your event, this even goes for workplace situations as well. When you are in those types of situations, you have a tendency to leave parts of yourself energetically, all sorts of energetic pieces of you go all over the place, out to the world, all over the place. So when you finished it with a situation, especially like the night that you get home or whatever, when you're going to sleep, you want to call all of your energy back to yourself that might have been left other places, right? So if somebody's been an energy vampire and they've been kind of suckling on your life force, a lot of times you're giving advice that you're getting, people that are leaning on you and all of that, and they're sucking your energy, and you're leaving pieces of energy with them instead of yourself. So you can call your energy back to yourself and just bring it through filters. Imagine a big giant piece of cheesecloth and pull that energy back through the cheesecloth, through the filters, to come and sort of reconnect with you. And you will feel so much better and so much more whole because you're full again. You're full again. And other people aren't, suckling on your energy. It's funny because I've been in situations where I've had people tell me, "Oh, Mari, you came to me in a dream." My mother said that to me for her birthday. I wasn't able to get home for her birthday, and she misses me so much. And she said, I kept saying, I pray she'll come. I pray she'll come. She goes, "And you were standing right at the foot of my bed on my birthday, and I could touch you. You were so close." And, and I remember feeling like I was projecting myself because I felt bad, so I couldn't get there for her birthday. But it also made me realize that, and I've had students say that to me too, you were in my dream, or I just saw you, I heard your voice give me advice and whatever. And is that an aspect of me, a multidimensional aspect of me that is helping those people? Absolutely. You have the same thing. But if you don't realize the number of people that are doing that with your energy, I've had hundreds of thousands of downloads of this show. Hundreds of thousands, okay? And so this influences a lot of people, even if it's just for a short while, and that pulls on my energy as well. I'm contributing energy, which is great, but there's also energetic, care, right? Energetic self-care. And so that's where we have to, in these types of situations, you want to call the energy back to yourself so you feel whole. If you don't do this on a regular basis, and sometimes I forget, you start to feel depleted and depleted and depleted and depleted, and you're wondering, why can't I get up in the morning? Why am I dragging? Why is it that I just cry so easy, or I just want to veg and, stare into space? And a lot of times it's because your energy is so pulled apart and in so many places. So just like, if you come home and your clothes are all over the floor, or you have kids or family members borrowing your stuff and your wardrobe's kind of all over the place, you need it all in the same closet, right? So you know what you have. You take inventory and know what you have to wear and what you have to replace and whatever. Same thing with your energy. So you want to pull that through filters. All right, so those are some preemptive things you can do. Now, let's say, even if you didn't do all that, you get into a situation with someone and they're starting to condemn you, criticize you, you get into something heated with someone. A couple of things. One is, I know I've been working with women who have been in abusive relationships, verbally abusive, emotionally abusive. I've had several women, I don't know what it is. I think the holidays kind of bring this kind of thing out. It's pressure starts to heighten as we get towards the end of the year. And for whatever reason, I've had like 5 women talking to me about these oppressive situations they've been in, or they are in. And so these guys verbally say things, and they just feel themselves shrinking. Okay, let me just take a drink of my tea here. 1 second. My mouth was getting so dry. So they feel, and as they do that, their life force, okay, your auric field, it's like you're surrendering it to that person. And that's when somebody is exerting aggressive power over you verbally. And these guys have a tendency to puff themselves up and have tantrums and yell and, and blame and all these things. And the woman, instead of standing up for herself, she just sort of shrinks and just tries to shut it down by just not interacting or whatever. And he's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and not just in his physicality. He's not hitting her or anything, but he's puffing up in his energy. And as she shrinks, guess what? As you shrink, your energy gets fed to that other person. So it's almost like they're vampiring your life force. And what you want to do in that situation is you want to immediately, like explode yourself bigger to fill up the whole room energetically. So instead of like shrinking and shrinking and shrinking, you go whoosh, and you literally explode yourself bigger. So that, and it's shocking to them. And you're not saying, I'm exploding myself bigger, you idiot. You don't say it out loud. You just do it energetically. You'll be amazed. I've seen, stories about people who have literally backed off criminals like this, where they just, boom, expand their energy out. And so it's basically you're filling in conscious awareness of your energy that's already there. Remember, your auric field is enormous. You're talking 50 feet in all directions. Just the aura. That doesn't include your spirit and your soul. And that can contract, get smaller, and be very close and protective around you, and it can expand. Most of the time, if you are being verbally attacked or this passive-aggressive behavior and you're feeling smaller and smaller, your auric field's going smaller and smaller and smaller and getting very close to your body, and that person is taking up more and more space. And when you expand your energy with the intention of protection, you'd be amazed at how quickly somebody backs up, because usually when they're doing that, they're very cowardly anyway, and that's why they're trying to be oppressive before you can. So expanding your energy is a great tactic. You don't have to say a word. You just envision, whoosh. Obviously you want to get yourself out of the situation and all that, but this is a great way to a deflection because that person might back up, they might lose their train of thought, there might be a distraction that someone calls them into another room or something. But the pattern gets preempted, and you'll know that it's working when something like that happens. Okay. Now, there's also balls of energy. So creating balls of energy, and you can literally envision yourself. There's two ways of doing this. You can envision yourself taking your two hands and kind of bringing them together, like collecting air and making a ball of light, and you can whoosh, throw that ball, like 1, 2, 3, whoosh, throw the ball, right, of light. And you can do this for both positive and negative situations. For our circumstances, you can either, like I said, find a quiet, private place, a bedroom or a bathroom or something, and just create these balls of light and just 1, 2, 3, whoosh, throw it at the situation. That breaks up heavy energy like nothing else. I've seen it. I've done it for all sorts of things. You can do it 1, 2, 3, or you can do 1, 2, 3, 4, and throw that energy now in your head. So let's say you can't like get up from the dinner table and just start throwing or create balls of light, throwing them at people at the dinner table. You can envision yourself doing it. You can just start to visualize yourself. Take a couple deep breaths, and in your head, just count 1, 2, 3, boom, throw light, and just envision a ball of light going and bursting in the room, so that it breaks up heavy energy. And you'd be amazed. Again, people might lose their train of thought. A phone will ring. Somebody will, get a text message. Something will come, and it will stop that runaway train. Okay, so that's balls of light, balls of energy. You can do that also for manifesting good things, throwing, light in that way. Breaking up your own bad habits, right? Removing obstacles from things that, money issues or relationship issues or whatever. You can use that kind of tactic to break up any kind of obstacles as well. Okay, and then there's one more that is actually quite good, and that is where if somebody's like kind of arguing with you and they're putting you down, this is great for criticisms. Oh, why didn't you get a husband yet? Or, I tell you, your career is the same. Oh, you're still at that old job. I thought you were going to try to get a new job. All that kind of stuff. If you resist that and you start to wall up, when people do that, you get tense, right? Your back stiffens up, your stomach churns, your solar plexus, which is that area right around your belly button. That's your confidence. That's your will center. And that's usually when people say she got sucker punched. You always know, oh, you punched me in the stomach. That is the solar plexus. Okay, that's where your confidence center is. And so when people insult you or attack you or something, you'll feel it there. That's why people cross their arms when they're fighting. They don't realize it, but they're protecting their solar plexus. Okay, sometimes the heart chakra, but mostly the solar plexus. And so the way that you can dissipate this and diffuse it, because when you resist like that, then you just lock your own energy up. You can't get any of your own energy back. You kind of lose your controls as far as expanding and contracting your energy so that they have less access to it. And when because you start to resist, and then that creates more for them to push against. One of the tactics that I learned quite some time ago that's really phenomenal is if you turn yourself into like a filter, like a cheesecloth, again, like a cloth with holes in it, and when that person comes at you, instead of you seeing yourself bouncing it back to them or resisting, getting tense, you let it move through you like a wind blowing through a cheesecloth. So there's a place for that energy to go all the way through, and so when it just goes all the way through you, it doesn't affect you. When it hits you and you sort of start to shut down, it can affect you, it can lodge in your field. But if you just let it go through, it's amazing, again, how easy it is to diffuse normally extremely volatile situations. So you're not resisting. Wayne Dyer talked about this also. He would say, when he would get into situations in families, and they would say, Wayne, it's because you did this and you did that and you did this and blah, blah, blah. And he would say, you're right. And it was like playing tug of war without the other team pulling, right? These people pull really hard because they want you to fight with them. And you say, you know what, you're right. And it's like, oh, wait, there's nothing for them to push against. There's nothing for them to pull against. So then the whole thing kind of drops. I've done this in a few situations with my sister, with some friends and things, and they expect this big fight. And it's like, you know what, you're probably right. And just completely stops the whole thing in its tracks. So those are some really good ways to energetically manage things without having to say a word. Now, does it mean that you don't ever stick up for yourself verbally? Oh, no, it doesn't mean that at all. You can absolutely. But I would do these tactics before you say something, because if you do, it'll soften the situation. And you may not have to say as much or incriminate yourself in any way. Sometimes it takes care of it completely, or then you're just dealing with, it takes care of part of it, and then you're dealing with a softer situation. Okay, so, and this doesn't have to be confined to holiday time. This can be, these are tactics for any time when it comes to dealing with humans. One of the things I'm hoping to, especially in the new year, to really, really instill in people is that managing your energy is important as men, and then something even more important than managing your physical world, your physical body, your physical world. You need to know these two things braid together and go hand in hand. And the more heightened awareness you can have of all of these different types of energetic principles, the less taxing it is on your physical body, on your mind, and you can keep your mind and your intellect in its proper lane. We're not just born with the mental faculties in our intellect to solve, life's issues. We were born with an entire energetic communication center systems that overlaid over these physical senses and were meant to integrate with them so that you had a much broader base of power and tools in your toolkit to navigate the world with. And unfortunately, through the years of society and all these other situations, all these other different components, most people don't have any idea. We've disenfranchised the energy from the physicality of life. And, it goes all the way back to, just going to church on Sundays for an hour or 2 or 3 and then doing nothing throughout the rest of the week and thinking that one prayer during church is going to last you for the whole week when you're spending, many hundreds of hours a week, going in the opposite direction. 1 hour isn't going to cover it. So when you're dealing with your energy, if you're only dealing with things mentally, intellectually, and physically, and you're ignoring the energy, you're really, really, not only are you losing out on a whole lot of tools and a whole lot of efficiency and overworking yourself, okay, you're losing out on a whole lot of answers because most of the answers that you're seeking are in the energy anyway. And your mind, your mental mind, remember, can only get you as far as what it's been exposed to. Okay? So if it has not seen it or experienced it in some physical way, your mental mind is not going to come up with a new idea. What's going to come up with a new idea is the energy communicating with your mental mind. So the more that you get fluent in these energetic capacities and abilities, the better off you are and the more efficient life runs. And believe me, it takes a lot of the load off and intellectually. Okay, so that is that. And if you'd like to call in and ask me a question, then I suggest you do it now because we're going to start taking some calls. The number to call in is 347-215-9485. And if you are on the line, please come back to the phone if you've been multitasking. And we're going to take our first caller. And that is Diana in Florida. Hi, Diana.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. What's your question?
Oh, I thought you knew it. Okay, I have a cat, and it's probably time to put it down, but you know how people are. They want to, as long as they can linger. Do you feel any energy from the cat on how it feels? We don't want it to suffer, but,
Well, the way that you can tell about whether an animal is ready to leave or not is how they look you in the eye. If when you look at that animal, they look away, they're ready to go. And they're disengaged and they have that kind of vacant look in their eye and then they look away, that's their sign they want to go. If they're still looking you in the eye and, and engaging, then they're not ready yet. And that's how you can tell.
Yeah. We didn't really want to wait that late. By the time they disengage, they're really in the illness process. They're really been in pain for a while. So if he is still okay, we'll just go with the flow. Because he's really changed. He's really changed the activity level. But I think he's always going to look us in the eyes. I mean, he's been doing that for 15 years.
It doesn't matter. At the very when they're ready, they look away. I've had many animals, and I've had to put many of them down when it was their time. And no matter how engaged they are on a regular basis, when it's that time, they let you know very clearly, I'm done. It's time for me to go. So I would let you know what she wants. But it feels soon to me. But what?
He is. He's the dictator of his life.
Yeah. So I wish you all the best with that. And I know that he'll let you know. Okay, moving on to, let's see here. Okay, moving on to Tamia in Vancouver. Hi, Tamia.
Hi.
How are you?
Hello?
Hello?
Good, how are you?
I'm good.
Hi.
What's your question?
I was just wondering if the current person that I'm involved with romantically, I just wanted to know if he was like my soulmate, and if not, then when was I going to meet them?
If you're asking that question, it feels like he's not. Because the soulmates are one thing. Twin flames are something else. So the soulmate we have many of those. And a lot of times, you're going to have all kinds of lessons. What's his name?
Will.
It feels like playmate. He feels very playful, like he's more, I'm hearing the word player, which is kind of probably not the best of words, but it doesn't feel like he's got a real long range, he's more of a season kind of a guy than a lifetime kind of a guy. And it feels more, I'm hearing the month of June, early summer, that situation will get to the point where you just don't feel like dealing with it anymore, and there's going to be somebody else early fall of next year. It doesn't feel like this guy, though, is the walk down the aisle guy. Now, that's up to you. I mean, you can certainly ride it out, and a lot of this is dictated by your own choices that you make. But if everything stayed the same as it was going now, that's what would probably be the most potential outcome.
Oh, okay. And if I were to end a situation, would the other person be manifested in quicker, or does that really make a difference?
You know, when you're dealing with two people, it's about readiness of each person and what they're going through in their own lives. The other person doesn't feel like he's available yet. Feels like he's in a relationship right now. So working out his own issues on other things. They're not just sitting in the ethers waiting. You know what I mean? Like everybody's kind of going through their own thing. So there's a timing and a readiness situation that happens with people, and that's one of the reasons why sometimes, you know, we're sitting alone praying and praying and praying, and that right person is working through issues on their own, you know, with someone else, so that when they come to you, they are that they can be to come to the table. A lot of times, believe me when I tell you, you're being protected on a lot of levels for when those delays happen. I call them the divine delays. When those delays happen, just know that you're being protected and that, you know, you don't want this new guy working out all his issues on you. Let him work it out on someone else so he comes to you all polished up and ready to go. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't rush it. I wouldn't rush it. But I know, you know, one other thing I will say is you don't want to keep somebody around just to have company and then, you know, hope that some other guy is going to show up anyway. When men consider you, they can, not only do they see you physically, but they also, without even knowing it, register in the energy. Your energy registers, and if your energy is filled up with the energy of someone else, you won't register to them as available. So even if they meet you and, you know, you say, well, you know, I kind of seen somebody, but not really, and all that, it will still register as that space in your world is filled up. So you're not going to get the same level of investment. So you don't want to, like, hold yourself in a certain situation just because you don't want to be lonely waiting for the next person to come along. So that's just, I don't know why the angels are telling me to tell you that, but that's what they're saying. It's okay to have a blank slate for a while.
Makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
I don't know. They know better than me. So, all right. So, you know, and that time for you, that off time in between relationships would be really good because they're saying that you kind of serial date. You know?
I do.
So your energy gets really, really, really filled up with everybody else because you're kind of running away from you. And quite frankly, you have to date you before you can date the really ultimate guy. You have to kind of get real comfortable with you. Does it make sense? Good. I'm glad it makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. All righty. Well, thanks for calling in.
Thank you very much.
Good luck with that. Happy holidays. All right. So, I'm going to say one more time, if anybody would like to call me, that's the end of our calls. I think everybody's busy with the holidays this week. Usually we have all kinds of people on the lines, and that's okay because we are going to wrap the show early if this is it for